Hello, my name is Emily Hubble, and I will be defending the Melanaphis Sacchari, also known as the sugarcane aphid.
Hello, my name is Julian Handy, and I'll be defending the Aphis glycines, also known as the soybean aphid. This debate will dispute which organism, either the soybean aphid or the sugarcane aphid, holds a greater effect on agriculture in terms of damage and losses.
The sugarcane aphids are very small, soft-bodied wingless, and have long and light green or yellow abdomens. They have black feet, black antennas, and black cornical tips, which is how you can identify them from many of the other species of aphids. Cornical tips are small tube-looking structures that stick off of the abdomen. The insect originates from Africa and the Middle East, but is thought to have been in the United States since 1896 as an invasive species in Hawaii. And then it reached the mainland in 1977 in Louisiana and made its way to Texas and Beaumont in 2013. One of the major crops that the aphid affects is the sorghum crop. It also affects the sugarcane. The aphids gather at the bottom of the sugarcane leaf or the sorghum leaf in large clusters and sucks on the leaf and feeds on the sap in the plants. That effectively removes any nutrients meant for the plant, killing the crop. The aphid has piercing, sucking mouthpieces. Removing the sap in the leaf causes stunted growth, wilting, and the curling of leaves and loss of chlorophyll, which is going to kill the crop. Actually, Texas A&M found that the sugarcane aphid caused $31 million in plant damage in only 1 year, which is why I believe the sugarcane aphid causes greater damages and loss in agriculture.
The soybean aphid is a tiny, pear-shaped pest and comes in a pale yellow or lime green color. The soybean aphid has a darker central body and a cornicle which sticks off the end of the abdomen. This organism is only 1/16 of an inch long. The soybean aphid is native all over Eastern Asia, but most commonly found in China. Since found in 2000 in the United States, the soybean aphid can now be found throughout North America and is especially prominent in the Midwest. During this organism's lifestyle, it morphs into different physical forms and migrates between its two host plants. The buckthorn is the primary host for the soybean aphid, where they spend most of their winter, and the soybean is the secondary host, which they travel back to in July for the summer. Temperature determines where the soybean aphids thrive, are able to repopulate, and have high infestation levels. The soybean aphid's piercing, sucking mouth can be to blame for the great damage they impose on the leaves, stems, and pods which they feed off of. They suck the juices out of the plant and cause issues such as yellow and wrinkled leaves, a covering of a sooty mold, stunted growth of plants, and kills a number of pods and seeds. This leads to an overall 40% yield loss in these plants' lives. They also transmit diseases such as the soybean mosaic virus and the alfalfa mosaic virus. The soybean aphid is continuously killing plant life by weakening the plant and preventing proper development or transmitting it a deadly disease it could be unable to survive. The soybean aphid causes great loss in plant life but threatens the economic situation of the soybean production system as well. The soybean aphid reproduces and spreads at an alarming rate, which means their destruction is as well, which is why I believe the soybean aphid causes greater damage and loss in agriculture.
Sugarcane aphids affect agriculture the most because they are very effective in killing one of the most important crops, the sugarcane. Sugar from the sugarcane is used in almost every product one could buy at the grocery store. They add sugar to everything, as it has addictive properties and tastes really good. So if there is a threat to the sugarcane, it will affect the food industry and agriculture a lot. Sugar is used as a sweetener to enhance texture, volumes, and moisture. It is used for color and as a preservative, whereas the use of soy is almost strictly limited to its oil for cooking. Therefore, the destruction of the sugarcane crop has more of an impact than the destruction of the soybean crop, and therefore the sugarcane aphid has more of an effect than the soybean aphid.
The defender defending the sugarcane aphid listed the effects of the organism and the damage it causes, which is very similar to those of the soybean aphid. Both use their mouths to basically drain the plant of life and leave behind them an appearance of a wilting leaf and stunt the growth of the plants. However, the soybean aphid goes far beyond this kind of damage. The soybean aphid not only leaves the plants in the previous state described, but the soybean aphid can also transmit diseases to these plants, lowering the plant's chance of survival even more. The soybean aphid not only kills off plants that have made it somewhat into their lives, but it also kills pods and seeds at an alarming rate and leads to the 40% yield loss, which I have mentioned previously. Clearly, when comparing the two, the soybean aphid's list of damaging effects outnumbers those of the sugarcane aphid and poses a bigger threat.
The sugarcane aphid feeds on the sorghum plant, as I previously mentioned. Sorghum's most prominent use is for animal feed. Therefore, all of agriculture is affected by the sugarcane aphid and not just the growing of crops like the soybean aphid. Agriculture is defined as the science or practice of farming, including cultivation of the soil for growing of crops and the rearing of animals to provide food, wool, and other products. Because the sorghum is used in animal feed and the sugarcane aphid kills that crop, it affects the ability of rearing animals to provide food, wool, and other products, and disrupts that area of agriculture. Sugarcane aphids also produce honeydew like the soybean aphid, and the honeydew of the sugarcane aphid can get stuck on farming equipment and render it unusable, which affects even more aspects of agriculture.
Debater B also explains that the sugarcane aphid leads to a loss of chlorophyll in the plant. Chlorophyll is a vital part in terms of providing it that green color that we associate with plants and plays a role in the process of photosynthesis. However, if the effects of the sugarcane aphid left some chlorophyll left, that plant may still be able to perform photosynthesis, which is one of the plant's main purposes. The soybean aphid leaves a honeydew residue on the plants, which turns into a sooty mold and stops the process of photosynthesis altogether. Photosynthesis is a very important factor in a plant's life and provides the air in which us humans breathe. Overall, the gravity of the soybean aphid's destruction is much more serious than that of the sugarcane aphid.
The sugarcane aphid causes greater damage to agriculture than the soybean aphid because it affects the sugarcane, which is a more prominent crop in the food industry than the soybean. And not only does the sugarcane aphid destroy the sugarcane, but also the sorghum crop, which is the largest source of animal feed. Therefore, the sugarcane aphid affects a broader area of agriculture than the soybean aphid and leads to greater destruction in agriculture.
The soybean aphid causes greater damage in agriculture as proven throughout this debate. The soybean aphid leads to a number of issues that kills plant life and stops a vital process that benefits our world, which is photosynthesis. Therefore, the soybean aphid leads to more losses in agriculture than the sugarcane aphid.